Well, there you are. Again, Charlie Greer podcast. I do this every day. Today, so cover up and conspiracy question mark. Could be, perhaps. Is that a thing? Before we do, please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to support the channel, the information is in the description for Cash App. My handle is Charlie Greer Podcast. And for Zelle, it's my email. It's all in the description. Let's do this. So, cover up and conspiracies. Perhaps. Let's just there's so much strange stuff. Honestly, the difference between a conspiracy and is about a couple of years. A lot of times, no, it would never. And then they admit that it. Well, see, we um, um, there's all kind. That's just human nature. Read an ancient book. This is kind of like psychology. That's what people do. Is try to cover up their crimes or what have you. Um, there's strange things that back in the day when people first started talking about it, it's like, man, has he lost his mind? And then it becomes like in the mainstream media. This guy named Phil Schneiderman. He was a government contractor. He was a genealogist or he dealt with minerals and stone and stuff. And he would, his thing was to dig down in the ground and build underground shit. And he had to test the stone to know what kind of like explosives they needed to blast out all that rock and what have you. He claimed he was contracted through the government, and they were in like Dulce, New Mexico, and they were building like an underground military facility. Now this is what he claimed, and this happened in like 1979. So he knew something was up. All these like Green Berets showed up. They had they built an elevator, like one of those like industrial elevators, just to get down to that hole they made. And but first they hit a hole. They hit something, and all this black spew came out. They'd never seen anything like that. Smelly, like what is this? So they sent him down with some Green Berets. So they go. They're in a cavern. He thought it looked natural. There's all these hallways. He turned the corner, and there were like these beings. Like three beings, like two were 4 foot, one was like over 7 foot tall, and he was armed. So he pulled out a gun and started shooting. And the big one like waved his hand in front of his chest, and this blue beam came out. And Phil Schneiderman lost like half his hand. It opened him up, and then there was a fight with the Green Berets and these like aliens or reptilians or whatever. One of the Green Berets, this is his story. One of the Green Berets threw him on the lift, like elevator thing, hit a button. He's the only one to survive. Like supposedly like it was a war. And this happened in like 1979. Then he told his stories in the 90s. The strange thing about it, he only went to about 3 UFO conferences telling the story. And of course, he had this melted looking hand and scars on him. And then he was murdered. Like he ended up like mysteriously dying. And could he be really telling the truth about, or could he have been? I mean, RIP, Phil Schneider. But this stuff fascinates me. I like a good conspiracy or a cover up. Could be. You never know. Comment below. Have you ever heard of Phil Schneiderman? Of course, JFK, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, JFK. Well, now we know. They've admitted. They're released. Tucker Carlson recently said he knows that the CIA was involved and he has a source behind the scenes, but he won't name him. And it's just, what supposedly happened in the you want to cover up your tracks, so you would supposedly what they did, whoever was behind this, like set up multi levels of assassins so they could point the finger at whatever group they wanted. And some people claim, well, in these documents that they showed up to actually and they saw the other assassin, they knew it was a setup, so they're like, fuck this, I'm gone. People say he was really shot from the sewer, the grassy knoll, the fence. No one's ever been able to replicate Oswald's shooting. Lee Harvey Oswald, who's the supposed assassin of JFK. The 3 shots supposedly in that time span, no one has ever been able, with that bolt action, old school, no one's been able to do it. Every marksman, everybody's been trying to do that. No one's ever been close. And you're saying that Oswald, And he got a job working at the Texas School Book Suppository, whatever it was called. He'd only been there a few weeks. He is wrapped up in all kinds of weird intelligence world game. He defected, went to Russia. This is like in the 50s, late 50s. That was hard to do back then. Lived over there for a while. Some people claim it wasn't him that actually came back. It was a stand-in, and it's just everywhere. RFK, Robert Kennedy. Sirhan was supposedly his assassin. And then there's like more bullets than the gun could hold, more shots, this, that, and the other. It's just crazy. There could be something to this as far as like all these conspiracies. Because see, like, again, psychopaths are very intelligent and smart. It seems like, the world is a dangerous place. Governments are just shit. They seem like they act like psychotic. Most governments are just murdering fools and starting wars because of drugs and oil. And usually we find out a little bit later. A few years back, they released a lot of the JFK files. Biden just was supposed to release them, and then he did, but he sealed a bunch too. Like, you don't want to open that can of worms because you would. And again, most of those people back then was what 63 when JFK was assassinated. Are they even alive? Like, how old are they? Or is that organization or whoever was behind it that was involved? It's just not the same players, but the same kind of activity, I should say. Could be. I've seen like cover up like conspiracy stuff, not on the bit, but like even in like my band days when I was in a band. These bands lie and cheat just to get like better gigs and the whole band's down and then cover it up and this, that, and the other. So that I always stepped back and never was involved, and then I always got to wait. I didn't want to use that kind of behavior to get ahead. Some people do. That's all they do. Talk shit, and then then the person they're talking shit about, they're hi, be nice to them in front of their face. It's like, come on, man, really? Is that what you're gonna do? And people would come to me like, hey, they're holding you down. They don't want you to do this. They don't want you to do that. Blah blah blah. And I'd be like, fine, let them do that. Like, I don't care, because I always thought like that's nothing to do with me. What other people say about me is none of my business, man. I don't. Let them talk. And see, people think you're going to wrap you up. You don't even know them. They're talking and you're involved. No, you're not. That's them. They can talk about you. Who cares? That's some hillbilly knowledge right there. What people say about you is none of your business, man. Don't get involved. Don't get into that cat fight. And, no. Let them self-destruct. UFOs. I mean, they've been talking about UFO in every ancient book. Every ancient society mentions strange lights and craft and beings. I've seen UFOs. One, I think, was a hologram or something. My friends, I've had friends that have seen UFOs. I've been wanting to like contact a UFO society, just like, interview them or what have you. That's when I get out and about. I need better equipment just to go out and interview. I want to interview like a Bigfoot society, dog man, UFO, reptilian, whatever it is. I want to interview these people. I want to not go out in the field, ghost people. I want to, pick their brain. I've seen ghosts. I've seen strange things. I lived in a haunted apartment in Hollywood. Everybody knew it was haunted. My neighbors, the owner, the property manager, they all. And I've talked about this on previous podcasts, but we were having problems with this apartment. Mysterious stains always coming in this one spot in our apartment, and then they would tear it up or clean it and it'd come back. And they're like, dude, it's just concrete underneath there. The concrete's not stained. Why is it the carpet is? And it literally looked like a body. It looked like somebody on their side, kind of. And someone had died. That's another thing. Someone had died in that apartment and in that spot. They told me this. I was like, what the? Why didn't you tell me before I moved in? I had to pay a deposit and, you know, move into the haunted hotel or whatever. I met neighbors that would come over and knock on the door and be like, hey, man. First, they'd be like, can I borrow a pan? And then, okay, sure. And then, like, well, have you guys had any weird stuff? Yeah, we've had. One time we were being choked in our sleep. Like, it was happening to a bunch of people. One night I woke up and the walls were red and glowing, and it wasn't just mine. I could hear, because there's all these apartments and windows are open. It's hot in LA, no AC. And you could hear people screaming and yelling, and I just like it's faded away. Me and my roommate stayed up all night, like chain smoking cigarettes and talking to the neighbors through the window, like, what the fuck, huh? I've seen crazy again, and I've talked about this. Huxley said the doors of perception. That could be. He might be right. Some people are more perceptive, so they're going to pick up on things. It's a strange, mysterious world we live in, so there's going to be some bumps in the road. You might see some strange stuff. In Hollywood, I saw a lot of strange stuff. Sometimes in a crowd. I've told this story about seeing this dog man that's this like werewolf-looking thing. It was female, had breasts. I wasn't the only one that saw it. It started as a lumping mass, like this hairy, bulging, furry thing as big as a car. Everybody was around. There had to be hundreds of people and only few people saw it. Most of them didn't. And then it just was a bouncing, smiling Bigfoot. Look, no, a dog, like a huge head didn't fit its body and looked like it was grinning. What in the world? My dogs are freaking out. I just took off, and this one lady was filming it, but she spoke Mandarin. She spoke Chinese. I couldn't. I was like, hey, can I? She looked like she was in a daze too. We all saw it. It was in the middle of like everybody was around. Like it was like not a park, but in front of this junior high, and kind of the park setting where the front of it had like all this grass and people were out there, and everybody in the neighborhood was walking around. So it wasn't like I was alone. There was nowhere for this thing to go. There wasn't like a wooded area where it was just gone. My dog, they freaked out, and I looked up and I saw, again, it was a bulging, furry mass as big as a car. Then I looked down at them again, and I looked back up. Here's this thing standing about, man, it was huge. It was tall, 7-8 foot, maybe bigger. Head bigger than its shoulders even. It looked fake. It looked like, what the, huh? And why do I have to see this? I don't want to. I saw this little invisible thing attacking a raven. It was clicking, whooped up on this raven. And the other ravens came around and were trying to mess with this little thing. It almost looked like a small predator. The predator, like it's all see-through, but you can still see. It was about like, I don't know, 2 foot tall, about 8 to 10 inches wide. It was in a tree. It happened right above me, like about 10 feet above me, and like the leaves and branches fell on me, and I could hear this, and it sounded like a dog. It was like, ah, and then out of this, I saw this blurry thing, and out of that spit out this busted up raven whose wings were all bent. He probably died. And the other ravens came around and like surrounded this thing, and I was watching it. And again, I was on the street. I was right near the coffee shop. People were out, and I tried to go across the road, but it's LA. There's cars coming. I had to wait. I was walking at the park, and in the park, I saw some strange stuff. And then the groundskeepers, they had like their little carts or whatever, came up to me one day, and they're like, hey, have you ever seen anything strange? I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Why would you ask me? You go first. No. And I told them what I saw, and then they never talked to me again. They ignored me. I saw a big, because I used to go at like 5 a.m. This was Arcadia Park, where there's really nothing to hide. It's a beautiful park. But there's trees and stuff, but there's nowhere to hide. There's no wooded. It ain't like there's a cryptid society. You know what I mean? There isn't like a group of cryptids living in this park unless they're invisible half the time. I don't know. But I was walking, I turned the corner, and it's a wide walkway, probably 12 foot wide or something. There was a huge one footprint. It was a bare footprint. I mean, like someone barefoot. You can see its toes and everything. Huge. Like someone had just one stepped across that big, and I just felt weird. I was like, what am I looking at? And I looked ahead of me, about 100 yards in front of me was this like perfect circle, looked like a water drop. My ears were ringing. I was the only one in the park. I didn't see him. I was looking around. I know they have cameras in the park, so I just bolted. I got off out of the park and I walked on the sidewalk around on the street and got home. Quit going in the morning. I only would go at during the day. I know this sounds crazy, right? And then they asked me, have you seen anything? Like, did you watch that camera footage and see? Did you guys see something that they? And then they wouldn't. As soon as I told them, I said, "Yeah, man, I saw this big, wet footprint, and then this perfect circle of a water drop or something in front of me." And then they hopped in their car, and took off. And we still like waved at each other. They ignored me the rest, like the years or more. They wouldn't talk to me again. I was like, man, I shouldn't have said anything, but they asked. And that's what I was like, because I could see the cameras. It's like, you'd had to seen something. Yeah, I just felt like I need to get out of there, and I did. I've seen strange shit. I used to manage Abbott's Habit. It was called. It was on Sunset. It was a coffee shop restaurant, really cool. We had art gallery. It was everything right on Sunset. Caddy corner from Chibo and about a block down from Guitar Center on the opposite side. It was like 4 doors down from Sunset Strip Tattoo. And I'd have to be there at like 5 a.m. to open it up. They bring in the breads and the Danish, get everything set up and get going. Open up the coffee shop. I was the head of the front of the house. I managed the place. There's the back of the house, the front of the house, and there are 2 kitchen guys in the back. And we just made cold sandwiches. We made like, really good turkey sandwiches and stuff like that. So they're back there. And one morning it was just one of the other guy didn't showed up. It was me and this dude. And so by law, the back door, you have to have these like fans. So when it opens, you'll hear, and that's to keep flies out or something. So you have to put this thing above the door. Every time it opens. So I'd locked it because we weren't open yet. You just don't want some fool. And it was the back of the buildings where there's a parking lot. That's where all the creepy shit, alleyway, LA, Sunset Strip, you got to keep it closed, locked until you're open. So I'm doing my thing, getting everything ready, making the coffee, blah, 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 blah. I heard the door open and the boom, closed. And I thought there was a hallway that was it went like a L. So I really couldn't see what was going on. It sounded like a fight. I could hear, then I heard the men's bathroom or one of the bathroom doors open and close. And I could hear, it sounded like somebody was getting beat up. So I went over there and I saw the dude came out. I was like, what is going on? I go, man, how did they get in? I locked the door. You sure you locked the door? Of course I've locked the door. I mean, come on. Then I was like, did I lock the door? And then it went silent. And I tried to open the bathroom door. It was locked. And we're like, hey, man, you need to come out. I'll call the cops. Come on now. So we went and got something, and we got the door open. We jigged the door open. Opened the door. There's no one there. And the dude I was with, the kitchen guy, he was freaking out. Oh my God, this is evil. I was like, bro, I don't know what happened, but he wanted to quit. It's like, we need you. I know it sounds crazy, and then later on, I found out that this particular building had all kinds of weird, there'd been murders in there, and there'd been this and that from going back to like the 40s. Like it was a thing. And so you never, perhaps, maybe, I don't know. But it happened. I've been there many times by myself, open up alone, morning and at night, because I had to clean the place up before I left, lock everything up. Never saw anything. Never felt even, I liked the place. But that one morning, it happened. And people would tell me about where oh man, I worked at I interviewed at the Pantages Theater, which is on Hollywood Boulevard. Pantages is famous. And as soon as I got it, the guy's like, look, I'm just going to be honest with you. In the interview, he goes, the place is haunted. So we're having problems keeping people. And the guy that you would be, taking over for, he quit because of this ghost. No. I was like, no, I believe I'll take your word for it. I don't want to be. I'd heard about the haunted Pantages. Like people don't, there's places And as I was leaving, he's like, "Let me take you to the elevator," because we went down to these offices in an elevator. And sure enough, when we went in the elevator, we heard this swoosh come in and out of the elevator door. And he goes, "See, I told you." And I go, "Man, get me the hell out of here." He goes, "I'm sorry, but he goes, most people get used to it because it's not that, it's not, it's scary at first, but then it doesn't hurt anybody. No. I don't want to piss off a ghost or um, strange. There's a recurring thing. I think it's on Franklin Avenue in Hollywood. So where there goes Sunset, Hollywood, and then Franklin, which is kind of like right near where the hills start. And this has been reoccurring since like the 20s or even before, who knows, that people will call and say, "Hey, are you shooting a movie?" There's like Native Americans, Indians in gear on horses going down the street. So the cops come and then they can't find anything. And they're like, "Where the hell would they go?" I mean, they're shit. That's been reoccurring. Google that. That's a thing, the Roosevelt Hotel. People know. They just, there's that haunted Marilyn Monroe mirror, which now they've got in the lobby of the bar. And I've sat there before. I've like had a drink because it's nice. That lobby is cool. I like the Roosevelt. And that big mirror that used to be the Marilyn Monroe's mirror. She used to live there or something. Is in the lobby. Well, there's a couch there. I've sat there and looked at that mirror, like, because they say you can see her in the mirror. Well, I never did. Multiple times I sat there and like looked at and then there's a top level in the old movie star Montgomery Clift. He used to live there and he had the whole top level to himself. And he would play a trumpet. Supposedly you can still hear the trumpet playing. I don't know. I talked to people that were the Roosevelt's cool. That bar is nice. Old Hollywood. It's like the last of the old Hollywood before they turned it into like steel and nouveau riche. It's nice. It's a small bar. The lobby's huge. Leather couches. And the bathroom doors are awesome. The bathroom stall. It's a cool area. All up and down Hollywood Boulevard, Sunset, Melrose, whatever, Santa Monica. They people have talked about like strange goings on. There's places that aren't rented. They sit because people claim that there's some kind of paranormal cover up, whatever, conspiracy. Who knows? Is that just human behavior? Is that just our psyche? Is that just the psyche of it? Did we just see things and kind of, I don't know. Perhaps, maybe. Comment below. Have you ever seen anything? Have you ever, any cover-ups? Any conspiracies? There's all kinds of conspiracies nowadays. I mean, chemtrails and that you can't keep up with them. You need an Excel spreadsheet. Just okay. Well, a program to keep up with what's people claim to be conspiracy and what's some of it there might be. That Phil Schneiderman story about him seeing those reptilians or whatever and get hit with a blue beam and losing his hand, and then he talked about it 3 times or something. He was going on a UFO convention tour, and like the 3rd time he was found dead or shit. Bob Lazar, he claimed that he worked on UFOs. Skinwalker Ranch, there was a show, Skinwalker. They have known about this. The Native Americans knew it was on their hunting ground. They went around it. Like the first settlers that settled there and made it into a ranch. They warned them. They're like, "Man, you don't want to be living. Oh, it's perfect for my cattle." Well, you're gonna. And sure enough, it started happening. They would see skinwalkers. They'd see lights. They'd see UFOs. They'd see cryptids. They'd see everything. Weird things. Their cattle would end up mutilated or stuffed in some kind of shed that they couldn't even, fit in. The shed's bulging. Like, how did they get them in there? Something could be. It could be. We live in this strange, mysterious world. I'm kind of fascinated by that kind of stuff. Ghosts and Bigfoot and, well, they've been talking, certain cultures believe in Bigfoot. And it's not even called Big Sasquatch. Whatever. In other places, there's big ones, there's small ones, there's different names. It's just a thing through time. And maybe could it be like a remnant of like a Neanderthal or some kind of, they found There's things that have lived on this world that are extinct, or they think they are. Could it be some kind of because we've seen skeletons. This is scientific. They've dug up like weird looking skeleton. What is this? Um, maybe. Comment below. What do you think? I know I'm a madman, but shit, it could be. Again, please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to support the channel, which you do, information's in the description for Cash App. My handle is Charlie Greer Podcast. And for Zelle, use my email. The email's in the description. But comment below. What do you think? Have you seen anything? Weird things? Have you too experienced all that? Let me know. But I love y'all. Be blessed. Cheers.